Hello everyone, my name is Adu and this is Ready Go Expat. Welcome back to the series of videos about teaching English in China. In today's video, my favorite, we're going to talk about teaching in international programs. I invited some friends to share their experience, and I also share my personal experience working in China at an international program. Ready? Go!
I teach in a high school program, an international high school program that is part of a public Chinese high school. So it's a private, international, American curriculum high school, and it's in this Chinese high school, a very well-known Chinese high school actually, in the province in which I live. And so we run an American curriculum. We're basically trying to give our students a foundation to be able to apply to college in the US. All of our students are going to go abroad for college. So I teach writing, I teach English, but I teach writing specifically. Teaching in China for me was the beginning of it was the most challenging experience that I've ever had, and that includes like when I first became a student teacher, like first day. And I'm a very confident teacher. Like, I was made to be an educator. I feel it when I walk in, it's all good. And I struggled hard when I started teaching in China because it's very different. The education that the students have had in the Chinese system is very different than what we're used to and what I'm bringing into the classroom. And I don't need to change what I'm doing because they want the kids to have this American experience. But it's like Chinese students will speak when you call on them, right? And because obviously, English is not their first language, not only are they maybe not sure about what to say, but they're also unsure about the level of their English. So for me, the big struggle was I run a classroom that is very engaged, right? And it's very loose and comfortable, or I want it to be, in terms of kids just saying things. In most classes that I've taught, it's not like a formal, hey, you answer this question. It's like I just put a question out there, kids say it, you don't necessarily have to raise your hand. And there was just radio silence when I first started teaching here, for weeks. And I really was like, do they understand me? What am I doing wrong? But it was good because I think that it made me investigate. I learned more about the model that they were coming from. I talked more to my Chinese colleagues. That's actually how I started developing friendships with some of my Chinese colleagues, was trying to figure out hey, how can I get these kids to engage? How can I get them to feel more comfortable, to not be nervous? And this is the first time for me as a teacher teaching in China where the language is so significant. So I think for me, teaching English is much more technical here than it's ever been in terms of the students really, the structure of Chinese and Mandarin and English are so different. And so it is so much work to get the kids to get the syntax down, to understand the importance of verbs. And I've never really, as an English teacher, focused on the grammar side of things before. I think if you're gonna teach in China, it doesn't matter what subject you're teaching, language is gonna be a really important thing. You need to come prepared to really help these kids not only learn the material, but to develop very strong language skills, understanding that it's totally different from their native language.
So I worked in China at 2 different international programs. In 2016, I started working at Nanchang No. 3 Middle School, which is actually a high school, and I worked in an international program teaching high school students who were going to go abroad. So we were part of the public school, but these students were paying more, and they were paying in this private international program. There were about 8 foreign teachers, and I taught them mostly IELTS, English, because they needed to get a high IELTS score. Most of these students ended up going to Australia, Canada, and England, and a few of them went to the US, okay? So that was my job there. The hours were great. I worked I had up to 16 classes, 45-minute classes. I used to get about 9,000 to 10,000. Sorry, 10,000 RMB a month. So, but the school helped me like get other jobs so that I could complement that, because like my hours, there were days that I only worked like for 3 hours and that was it. So the school also they had some other students who wanted to have like some other classes, but they're all students like from the program, you know. I didn't get any students outside the program, so I used to teach them as well, so I would get some extra money. But it was great because it was very chilled compared to my first year working at a training center. It's great because you see the students every day, and I lived inside the school. I lived on campus, so I would see the students every single day, and that was great because the connection, you create a bigger connection with the students. We went out for dinner, we went out for lunch with the students. We had like extra activities, and it was a great experience. But then my second year, and then my third, fourth, and fifth year, I went to another school, which is like in the country, not the capital, Nanchang, and that's where I worked for my last 3 years in China. I was the coordinator and the teacher in an English program. This time I was teaching students for the TOEFL exam, speaking and writing, but also I was teaching them like public speaking, listening. We had listening classes, we had even cooking classes, so it was really fun. But this was more like, the salary was like double, you know, what I got in my previous school. But then for this school, I had to be at school every day from 7:45 till 4:45 or 5 p.m. So I had to be there the whole day. I had about 20 classes, 22 classes, I think. And even when I was not teaching, I had to be at school planning, you know, or doing other admin work. We had some activities that we had to do because at this school it was only me and another foreign teacher. So we took part in like Halloween activities, Christmas activities. There were some school activities that we also had to take part. But it was great because I worked from Monday to Friday, so no weekends. And yeah, and then 5 p.m., 4:30 p.m. on Friday, I was free. So that was actually very good. And the pay is good, but there is also a lot of like extra work that they need you because, you know, it's a school not in a big city. So they need you for like other events, perhaps like meetings with parents. I needed to be there in all of the meetings. Promotional events to get more students, I had to be there as well, which was totally fine for me. So yeah, I had a great experience. My last 3 years in China working for Linchuan #1 experimental school and the international program there.
So I think like the main experience for me here in China, aside from of course teaching Chinese, which was a public that I had never taught before, is the fact that I'm not teaching in a language center. That was my previous experience in Brazil and in the UK as well. So I think there is a big difference when you are teaching in an actual school, which I'm doing now. I'm teaching at the high school. So the international program is a program that's within the high school, and they have regular classes and also have the classes in English. So I think like having to adapt to the whole school system, which is different, the timing of the classes, which is different. Like I was used to an hour and 15 minutes class, and now I have to teach 45 minutes classes. The quantity of hours as well, as you teach many hours to those students, and the school regulations and other things that you have to take care of. So I think it has been very enriching. As for teaching Chinese specifically, I think Chinese students specifically, I think there isn't much of a difference. In a way, they're way easier to handle. They're very dedicated, they are hardworking, they're very disciplined. And I think I'm actually trying to undo that a little bit. So they're becoming more flexible and having fun in class. Maybe I'll have to bite my tongue later on by doing that. But I really enjoy that, and I think I'm making them loosen up to be able to communicate more effectively. But I really enjoy it. I think they're teenagers, and I've taught teenagers for many years, for over 2 decades. And the teen aspect is basically the same wherever you go, whether in Europe, whether in Asia, whether in South America. they're teens and they will have, distractions, and they will have their dramas and first loves and things like that. So you get involved with that, and I think there isn't that much of a difference. If I would say the main difference is just that they speak a different language, they come from a different culture, but it's basically very similar to anywhere.
So here I teach in an international program attached to a public school here in Linchuan in the province of Jiangxi. And I really like it. It is different. It is very different from what brick and mortar schools in the United States, where they are. Personally, I try to keep the class as much as possible, preparing those kids to go to the United States or Canada, keeping it similar to what I had an experience as in college or even high school back in the West. But it is a very different experience because the students are used to a different way of teaching. In a way, it's more guided, like they are more guided by the teachers, where the teacher has the absolute command of everything. What I try to do is try to keep it more, try to get input from the students and try to listen to them and things like that. And it's been a great experience. The kids are, I feel that they do respond well to that. At first they might not be used to that, and so they don't know how to react in a normal, not a normal, but in the Western class setting. But it has been a great experience. It's fascinating to watch that progress.
And if you're thinking about moving to China and working there and getting a job as an English teacher, make sure to check this playlist with all the information, testimonials, pros and cons of getting a job in China as an English teacher. I'll see you next time.